Hello all, welcome back to Learning Partner. If you are new, please do subscribe. This is another channel where you can directly connect with me. We have around 1000 plus members already who are working. We take live coding sessions and everything. To just get notified about those sessions, please do join this group. So this is the part 4 of logic development session. So in this task, we are going to see a grocery cart item. So task is very simple. So this is the live version. So you need to create an array of grocery item with their price. Then whatever the grocery items we have created, that we need to show in the dropdown like this. We can show the item name and the item price also. Then we should have a text box to enter the quantity. On click of add, let's say I select rice, quantity 3. On click of add, you can see that record got added over here and price is also getting calculated. If I select coffee, 2500. Turmeric, let's say quantity 2. Again, my price is also getting changed. Got it? So this is the simple task. We need to, on click of add, we need to push it to the array and we need to calculate. One more thing is, if, so you can see turmeric is already added. If I add turmeric again, so previously we had two quantity. If I add two more again, so we should not add one more record to the table. We just have to update the quantity. See? So this is the one more thing. And if we have not selected anything, so we just need to show something message like that. Yet no items added. Simple. So let's try this now. So UI, I have just copy pasted. This is the static UI. Now we will start for the development. So this is the component grocery cart component. The UI you can see all is there using static. Okay. Let me just format it. So in the table also you can see multiple static data is there. Now the cart item should come from the dynamic. This is static, but we need to make it dynamic. So let's go to .ts. Let's create an array. So I have the already array. This was with JavaScript. So let me just copy. So instead of, let's remove wrap. Let's say food item, let's say list. So we have created array of object where we have item name, cost, like that. Fine. Now this array, we need to bind it to our dropdown. So this was a static one. Instead of this static, let's make it dynamic. So over here, star ng for let item of our array name. So our array name is food item list. It will go over here. Now once we select the item, we need the, what do we say, selected item name also. So as this is an array of object, but we don't have an ID or we don't have any ID. So let's just add it properly. Item ID, so that we will have something unique. One, let's add it. 21, 22, 14. Just I'm adding random ID. Fine. So in my array, we have something unique. If it was a real API, and we might be getting the data, so we will have primary key. Just like that, we are assuming we have item ID, which is something unique. Now, so here on option ID, we will bind value that is item ID. So here item dot item ID we will showcase like that. And here we just need to show the price, item name and the price. So first item name. So item dot item name, and here in the round bracket we just need to show the price. So item dot cost. Fine. So let's just save and check if our dropdown is coming proper. Right? Let me just show you by inspecting also, like in the value tag we have the value. So over here you can see in the value tag we have item ID, correct? And while displaying, we are displaying the item name and the price. Let me just increase it a little bit. This is column D5, 510. Why it is taking so many less space? Something wrong. Column D12. Yeah, okay. Now, second thing, on click of add, we need to create an object, whatever the item we selected and the quantity, and that we need to push to another array. That array we will display it over here. So we will need another array, let's say selected item. So selected food item list, that too with colon any. It is going to be array of objects, so that's why I'm initializing with empty. Fine. Now we have a form basically. We just have a drop down and a text box. So either you can create two variable or you can create an object, and then object you can bind it to this form. So let's create a form obj, let's say cart obj colon any. It will have properties, let's say item id, selected item id. By default, I'm initializing with empty, and the quantity. Fine. So I have created object. Now this object I need to bind to my form. So this I can bind it over here on the select box, round bracket, curly bracket, ng, model. You can use template or the reactive, or you can create signal also. Again, so if you are using Angular 17 apart and Angular 18 instead of ng4, you can use @for also. Fine. So cart item dot item id. So here you will bind this property. Then let's copy. And over here we need to bind quantity. Fine. So we have created object. That object we have binded to our form also. Now on click of button, we need to add it. So click on add item. Make sure you are giving a proper name also to the function and the variable. Your variable name and the function name should be very descriptive. If you are appearing for a machine test, make sure these are the little things, but it will matter because they will judge you. Everyone is going to complete the machine test, but who is doing the proper coding? They will judge you on that also. Fine. So let's create the function on add item. Now on click of add item, what we need to do? This object we need to push to over here, right? So we can simply write this dot selected food item list dot push, or use unshift so that it will latest will be at the top, and we need to push this dot cart object. We are going to face issue, but I'm just going to show the problem also we are going to face. And so in this variable, we are going to have the selected food item. So now let's just add a debugger and let's see what type of data we get. So now here, if I select dal quantity 3 on click of add, our function will get called. And in this cart object, you can see we have got item ID and the quantity. But when we have to display, we need to display the item name and the price also. But in our object, we don't have that. But we have item ID. So from our array, by using item ID, we can find the item and name and the cost. So let's do that. So here, constant item record is equal to, now we have the item ID into this object. So by filtering this array, we need to find the matching record. So how we can do that? So food item list dot find. Now we know that item ID is going to be unique. So we can use the find method to check, to filter the record. So m equal to m dot, with what we will compare? With item ID equal to this dot cart object dot item ID. Okay, so here we will get the record. But whenever you are using the find, now always try to add an undefined check. If you don't find the matching record, you will get it undefined. So if item is not equal to undefined, and if you are using filter, always add a length check, because find will give you a particular object, and filter you will get the multiple records. So you can check the length. Okay, so if it is not undefined, then our code will run. But so this is the object. Now inside this object, we can add item name initialize to 0, initialize to empty. Now this dot cart item dot, what we need to update? Item name. Item name is equal to, now in item record, we are going to get the filtered record. So item name dot item name. Now how we need to display it? Like this, hyphen name, whatever. So concatenation I will use hyphen, and then item record dot cost. Now this object, we will push it to the push it to this array, and this we will display in the HTML. So let's do that also. So this was the T body. Over here, we need to use ng for star ng for is equal to let item of our selected item. And we need the serial number also. So let's get the serial number. Again, if for 17 and 18, you can use the normal for loop also. This will also work, but try to use the normal for loop. Now over here, we need to print our SR, but indexing will start from 0. So let's increment it. Now here, we need to display the item name. So item dot, what do we have in the selected item? Item name. So let's copy, let's paste it over here. Now here we need to display the cost. Okay, so now here you can see, instead of what we did in item name only, we have stored the cost, but we need the cost also because in the table we need to show it. So let's show cost. And over here, now instead of doing like this, we can store cost in a separate property is equal to, here I will store just the cost. It will go over here. Let's remove this. Fine. So now in this object, we have item name and the cost also. So now, sorry, it got cost. Fine. So now instead of over here, we got the item name. So after that, we need to display the cost also. So item, or instead of displaying, we are already going to display it over here. So let's, now here, this is going to be our cost. So item dot cost, and this will be quantity. So quantity, item dot quantity, and here we just need to show the price. So round bracket. Now item dot cost into item dot quantity. Here only we need to do the calculation like this. Let's remove the static one. Let's save if it is working properly. Fine. So if we select rice with quantity 3, so rice has the cost 60. On click of add, you can see our code now. So what we have did over here, we are trying to find the particular matching item ID record. So 22. So in item record, you can see we have got rice record. So we have got cost and item and everything. Now inside this object, we are assigning item name, then cost. So in cart object, you can see everything we have: cost also, item ID also, item name, and the price quantity also. Let's continue. So now here you can see rice, cost is 63, 180. This is static. We haven't done that. Okay. So first part is done. Next is we need to calculate this total also. So how we are going to do that? And one more thing, once we click on add, we need to reset this also. So let's do that also. So in this add function, once we add, we can reset this also. After this dot cart object is equal to this. So we are resetting our object with the initial properties value. And we need to calculate the total amount. So how we are going to do that? So we have to create one more variable, total cost, data type number, I will initialize to 0. And this total cost we need to update. So how we are going to do that? So in this variable, we are going to store the selected item. So once this if condition is run, after that we can iterate the for loop. So for loop on what we are going to iterate on this element. Either you can use the normal for loop or for each also you can do whatever you feel so. Let's use for each for now. So for each. So on this array we have to use. Now what we need to do in that, in the selected item, we have the quantity and the cost also. So let's calculate. So constant total is equal to, so element dot, what do we have? Quantity into element dot cost. Fine. And this we will get inside the for loop, we will get the cost of the one item. Then we need to append it to the our global variable. Total cost is equal to this dot total cost plus whatever the new quantity, new total we have. And this variable we will print it over here. Let's print it. Now, instead of doing this for loop, you can make use of the reduce operator also. That is the best way. But just I'm considering everyone is fresher and everyone should understand. If you know how to use the reduce, so instead of this for loop, you should use reduce only. This is not advisable. Fine. But all the fresher and everyone should understand. That's why I'm doing this code. Let's save and check if we are able to print the cost also. So by default cost is 0. Let's say rice with quantity 3 add. So 180 is there. If I select sugar, 2 quantity, so you can see 450. No, something's okay. Now you can see calculation is wrong. Why? Because this is a for loop. So whatever the existing cost is there, it is going to just evaluate that. So whenever this add button is there, we just need to reset this because every time it needs to create a new value. So now it should work fine. Let's say. So these are the various loophole you need to try out. 120 is there. Dal, let's say 4. So now you can see it is working proper. Got it? Now the basic work is done. Now it comes the validation. So if rice is already selected, and again if I'm trying to add the rice, so currently what is happening? One more record is getting added. But this should not happen. Already rice is there, so we just have to update the quantity. So for that, we just have to change our function like this function little bit. So over here, we are checking if item we have found or not. So here, again, we will check if this particular selected item is present in our selected item or not. So is item already selected is equal to. So in this variable, we are going to push the selected item. So here only we need to check dot find with what we will be finding again item ID. So item ID is equal to this dot cart object dot item ID. So if in my selected item, I have the item already selected, then we just need to update the quantity. So if this is not equal to undefined, not equal to undefined means in my selected item, selected array, I have already that item selected. So what I will do instead of where it was, we just need to update the quantity. So this dot cart item dot quantity is equal to existing quantity plus we will get the existing quantity in this variable, this dot quantity. Okay, I will just add a debugger, then you will understand. And in else block, for if that item is not already added, we will have to run this code. And this should be at the outside. So let's check it. So this will be little bit confusing, but once we debug, then you should understand. Now see, dal I have selected quantity 3. Okay, now let's enable the debugger. Again, if I add the dal only and with quantity 2. So existing, we have 3 quantity. And now again, I'm adding 2. So on click of add, you can see this is the if condition where we are checking if the item is already added or not. So here you can see we have got that item, quantity 3. So it is not undefined. So it will go to the if block. And here existing quantity is 2, the current one. So what we are updating with existing quantity plus new quantity. So we should have, okay, here we have 23 because it's a string data. So and we are using plus operator. So let's convert it to number. I should have written this earlier, but let's say you also got to know like this kind of error will be there. Number. So JavaScript is tricky and same as the TypeScript. When you are adding string type, it will do concatenate, but other operator like multiplication divide, it will work the fine. Fine, let's do it once again. So let's select dal with quantity 2. So it has added over here. Now, if I again select the dal with quantity 4. So now see. it will go undefined. So current quantity we have 4 and next quantity, already quantity we have 2. So now in cart object, you can see we have got quantity 6 and that's what we are pushing. So see, no, still why it is not updated? Only 2 we are able to see something we cart object dot quantity we have updated. And okay, sorry, this line I didn't run. So this same line of code should go over here also. Sorry, forgot that. Let's try it again. Fine, let's try to add a dal with quantity 2. So I'm taking the scenarios in the live just like this. So you are also going to face the same issue, and how do you handle that? You will understand now. So dal, let's say quantity 3, add. So now it will go to a rib block. Quantity is already there. All the lines are running and we are pushing it. So in cart object, you can see quantity 5 already was 2 and we are adding 3. So we should get 5 over now. See? No, but why it has? Okay. Again, so sorry. Now here, this line we should not, this line we don't need it. Now we just have to change the data over this. So instead of changing it to the this cart object, we just need to update in the array, right? So over here, sorry. So we are just changing quantity over here. We don't need this line. Fine. It should work fine now. Let's try it again. Okay. Now if we add dal with quantity 2, so for first time, as we don't have the record, it will be undefined. So it will go to the else block and the existing flow will work. Got it? Now again, if I select dal and with quantity 3, add, now we will get the data in already item added. See, it is not undefined. So it will go inside. It will just update the quantity in the that variable 5. See, 5 we have got and the cost also got updated. And again, if I say sugar, continue, see, it's behaving perfectly. Got it? So that we have done. So just one more time, see the logic. So first check, we have to get the item record. That's why we are filtering the particular item ID. Then we need to check like the selected item is already added or not. If yes, we are updating the quantity only with existing and the new quantity. That's it. And if it is else, the new record, so we are pushing it. And the for loop is there. One more thing in the UI, if we don't have the record any added, if we don't have any record added in the table, so we just have to show no record found. So for that, this is the T-body. So here we can have ng container. So ng container is a kind of imaginary div when we don't want any extra element. So you can use this. So star ng if equal to, what should be the condition? If this array is empty, so length is equal to 0, we can have a tr and td. And here we need to add a call span. How many? 3. And here we can have no item added yet. And just like ng container, this was for length 0. Again, we will have with not equal to 0. And here we should have this. Let's save and check. So by default, you can see we don't have any array. So it is showing like that. If I select, got it? So these are the whole thing. Again, on click of add, you can validate also. Okay, because if I add now, the code might have broken. Let me show you the index. It's not, it won't break because we have added this if condition. Okay. So, but on click of add, if user has not selected anything, you can just show the validation like please select content. Again, that will also part. Fine. So I hope these videos are helpful. If yes, please do like and subscribe. Thank you all.